Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Puriya, and in this video, as promised, I'm gonna give you a gentle introduction to Inmanta's modeling language, and we are gonna get this model that we have and get rid of all the duplication that we have introduced. So without any further ado, let's get started. First, let's get this model that we have here and logically separate it into two files. Okay, the config for the first router is this one. Let me grab it all, copy. Let's create a new file. Let's name it r1.cf. Paste this in, save, close it. Let's grab the rest, save to a new file. Let's call it r2.cf. Now let's compare R1 and R2. For that, I'm gonna diff them. I'll hold Ctrl Shift and hit P on my keyboard. It opens the command palette. I'm gonna use a diff. Let's go with R2. This view shows us the differences between the model that we have for router 1 and the model that we have for router 2. We can see the names are different, management IPs are different, but port, username, password, and auto agent are similar. Then we are having the router name, which is different, device, the BGP, and the neighbor IP address for each of these. All right, let's start writing a new model. For now, I'll just create a new file, call it better BGP, bgp.cf. Let's push it here. All right, I need a few things. I'm gonna hold Control and hit backslash. It gives us the side view. Let's go to better BGP, here also all the way up. I'm gonna get these modules. All right, now let's go to our diff view. We need a way to define these differences. Let's take a note from them. Also, let me push this here. Perfect. Okay, so we are having Nokia routers. Let's define them like this. We have a name and management IP, which are different in these two models. Let's put it here, name, and then management IP. There we go. What else do we have which is significant to us? It is the neighbor IP address. Let's also put it here. I'll name it neighbor IP, and this indicates the end of my nodes. So let's go ahead and say it's the end. There you go, and we get some coloring. So what I just did was to define an entity, an object. Let's also fortify it by calling it an entity, and there we go. What else do we need? Let's go back to my main file. Let's grab all of these for one of the routers, copy. We are trying to configure BGP for the Nokia router. Let's do it like this. Paste it in, indent it. Good. And this is the end of my config. What we have here is a BGP configuration or an implementation. So let's go ahead and indicate it. It's an implementation, just like that. Save it. I'm sure we all appreciate the power and the benefits of static typing. We also have the same concept here. So if we go to our Nokia router entity, we can define the name as a string. And how do I know the name is a string? If we go all the way up here, we see It's a word inside double quotes, indicating it's a string. The management and neighbor IP are of type IPv4 address. We have defined the type in the standard module as well for those, and we can reference it like std, referring to standard module, IPv4 underscore address. There we have it. Just to give you a sneak peek, how does it look in a bigger model or a bigger picture, we can go to my main.cf file, and if I hold Control and click on this device, or I just right click and say go to definition, it will take us to the Nokia SR module and shows us what is this device and what does it entail. Alright, but that is for another video. We can also define our custom types, and if you're interested to see that, let us know down in the comment section, and we are gonna make a video for that too. Alright, let's get back to our main file. If you notice, this BGP implementation is building on top of this Nokia router entity. And I'm having some static information here that I want to get rid of it. What specifically? Name and management IP, as well as this neighbor's IP address. So let's just start with name and management IP. How do we do that? Let's just remove this for now. I'm referring to this name from this Nokia router object. How? Self dot name. Management IP is gonna be self dot mgmt IP, just like that. The port, username, password, and auto agent are similar across all my routers, so I'm not going to touch those. Then we are having this neighbor's IP address. Let's also fix this. Self.neighbor IP. Okay, perfect. Let's quickly check my diff view again. Let's expand it. Apart from the name, management IP, and the neighbor IP address, which are significant to us, others are just name of the objects, so we don't really care about them. We got everything that we needed. Alright, now that we have defined the structure for our model, we need to go ahead and define our routers. How do we do that? Let me make some space here. Router 1 is equal to Nokia router. The name is router 1. The management IP is 10.11.12.31, and the neighbor IP is 172.16.1.2. Let's make another one of this for router 2. So this is gonna be router 2, the management IP is 32, and the neighbor is 1. Let's save this. Finally, we need a way to tell that whoever that is using this Nokia router object has to have this BGP configuration. We do it by saying implement Nokia router using BGP. Save the file. Next would be clearing the BGP configuration from our routers. So let's go ahead and do that. SSH to router A, admin, configure global, delete router BGP, enter, commit, log out. Let's do the same thing for router B. Delete router BGP, commit, log out. Now let's export our model to the server. How do we do that? First, activate my development environment, clear the screen. The name of our file is better BGP. Enter. Perfect. Let's go to the web console and check the status. Okay, everything is deployed. Let's go to the routers and verify the configuration there. Okay, let's go to router A and see the configuration. Let's SSH to Nokia admin. Okay, show router BGP neighbor, and here we can see our neighbor. Let's also verify the config. Configure global info. It should be here. Yes. And here we have our BGP configuration. Let's also check it on router 2. Logout from logout. Let's go router B. Show router BGP neighbor. And here we have it. We can see in the new model we are having roughly 61 lines of code, whereas in the previous one we were having 81 lines. And just bear in mind, these are 2 routers. What if you are configuring 100 routers, 1000 routers? You can see how quickly things can get messy. Whereas in the new model, we can just come here, instantiate a new Nokia router, and go from there. This not only prevents copy-pasting errors, but also keeps your model clean. We can also come and load these routers from a YAML file. In the next video, we are going to go ahead and deploy our Cisco examples. I would like to thank you for watching and see you in the next video.